do it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Star Trek New Worlds. My name is Tony. Happy New Year. It is the 7th of January. We are coming to you live here on Star Trek New Worlds. And you're probably wondering, what in the world is Star Trek New Worlds, Tony? Well, it is a turn-based strategy game that we play here online with you, currently streaming to you on Facebook Live, on YouTube and Twitch. We play this game using the rule set of the Amarillo Design Bureau of Federation and Empire, and of course we show you the map as populated by the program Vassal. So if you like all things turn-based strategy, then please feel free to stick around for a second. We're going to be talking about today some epic setups for some decisive battles and, of course, the Turn 89 reveal. As it is the new year, and of course, things don't always go according to plan, I'm going to have to slide into our galactic news a little differently. Here we go. Right, that was not the button I wanted to press. Let's try that again. Oh my goodness. Rusty. Here we go. It's the galactic news. The news titans. All across the Northwest Balkans, fleets are prowling the space lanes and massing on the borders of the last remaining vestiges of the Lyran and Federation empires. Multiple enemies seem to be on the brink of crushing these nascent nations. The Lyran Commonwealth is being squeezed between a triple threat of Carnarvon, Riemann, and Gorn fleets, while the Terran Confederacy has ISC and Klingon fleets at their very gates. The flame of freedom is fast fading from the former Federation and its feline friend. Terran trouble tackled. The back and forth of the Klingon and Terran war continues. The Klingon fleet has pulled back to consolidate its holdings in the former Hunter's Pride, squashing the fleet holding Savannah. However, another Federation flanking maneuver managed to capture the world of New Kennel, while reinforcements arriving from the Klingon homeworld While reinforcements are arriving from the Klingon homeworld every week, it seems that despite some slippery maneuvering by the Terrans, it is only a matter of time before they fall under the might of Klingon technology and production. Rats from a sinking ship? With the writing on the wall, the Federation Confederacy has decided to evacuate as many civilians as possible. At the prompting of ISC military advisors, a massive convoy carrying civilians and diplomats took the risky plunge into the wormhole at Sector Kilo 15. They have exited far to the galactic south at the border of Gorn and Romulan space. Will they be shown sanctuary, or will they be shown the door? Living on the edge, more strange intruders from the Galactic Rim seem to be showing up every month. Recently, one of the destroyed and internal security forces of the Gorn... Let's try that again. Recently, one was destroyed by internal security forces of the Gorn Harmony. They broadcast their study of the wreckage, claiming that artifacts of Hydran origin were found amongst the debris. Is this a clever ruse by Gorn counterintelligence, or is the ghost of Hydran Empire returning for revenge? Big ship meant. For the second time in as many years, the Romulans have refit one of their aged dreadnoughts into a first-class ship of the line. As part of a massive fleet-wide refit program, the Vulture Dreadnought M subclass has become one of the most powerful ships in the galaxy, second only to the Klingon battleship. Will we be seeing any more of these monsters in the near future? And what plans must the Romulans have that would require this much firepower? Only time will tell. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Galactic News. Oh my goodness, as you could hear, my my voice for some reason is not doing 100% today. So I've got a little bit of water, and of course, as always, we've got our warm and delightful coffee. You saw that we had the Coffee Genesis machine moments ago pressing out a perfect cup of caffeinated goodness. And let's take a little walk around the street. Walk around the screen. Obviously, I can't talk today. I apologize. The mouth just does not seem to be working. Obviously, we need some more caffeine to get the gears in motion. So speaking of which, here on this screen, you can see my beautiful face. Maybe not so beautiful. That's okay. It's not about how I look. It's how I sound. No, that's not working either. Okay, so between me and the chat, you will see that QR code. That QR code takes you to that link over there, coffee/New Worlds. And that will take you to the option to be able to fire us a disruptor blast of caffeinated goodness that you will see rise across the screen. That will progress the bar at the very bottom. You see there's that white bar, and it'll go from that side over to this side with a green. With our goal today of, as is our recent goal, 4, not 1. Again, everything is not working today. 1, 2, 3, 4, Quattro. Jeez Louise. Quattro coffees for today is the goal. And speaking of which, ladies and gentlemen, the Juggernaut has fired a caffeinated goodness. You saw it here first. Let's see if I can take a quick sip of this piping hot. Ooh, baby. Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Oh, it burns as it goes down. Oh, yeah. Woo! Okay, one more time. Oh my God, it burns. Woo! Okay. Laugh at my pain. It's okay. So thank you to the Juggernauts for our blast of caffeinated goodness. You can see the first step has been taken on our journey to 4 coffees for today. Thank you, sir. All right. While as we get going here in a moment, you will see the map that will give us the delighting and exciting news. And as we're watching that, you can feel free to be like Lyle Geiger there at the very bottom, our most recent subscriber, helping us on the journey to get to 500 subscribers. I'll revisit that a little bit later in the broadcast, but we're on a journey to 500. Why? Because it unlocks the community tab here on YouTube. And that will give us the ability to be able to better communicate, offer you different kinds of content, and so on and so forth. So, yes, let's get rolling into the map. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the delightful goodness of the Turn 89 map. All right, here we go. We're going to start off with EP and Fleet Cap as always. Oh, and after I do this, I'll circle back and say hello to everybody in the chat. I can't believe I didn't do that. Here we go. All right, so let's talk about the EP and Fleet Cap scenario here. We've got the Carnivon at 44.5 EP. That's pretty good upward trend for them. If you do not recall, not less than 10 turns ago, they were below the 40 mark and essentially crippled economically. They've made quite a comeback and are knocking on the door of 45. The Gorner at 62, holding steady at a very healthy location. The words are escaping me today. At a very healthy spot when it comes to the economic ladder. 62 is looking good. The ISC are at 56 total EP. The Klingons still struggling to get past 80 at 78.5. The Remans not holding back. They have hit the 70 door. They are at 70 EP even. Oh, there's some good stuff coming that way. The Romulans are at 52.5. The Tholians in the number 3 economic spot at 68.5. So as you can see, there's quite a strata of economic variety there. We've got the 78.5 of the Klingons, the 70 and 68.5 of the Remans and Tholians, the Gorn all by themselves at 62, the ISC floating at the ISC and the Romulans at 56 and 52.5 respectively. And then we have the Carnivon at 44.5. So a total of 7 players still in the game, and that is what it's looking like. Let's look at Fleet Cap. When it comes to the maximum number of ships in the void, we've got 102 ships out in outer space from the Carnivon, with a total of 282 attack, 453 defense, noting that their defense and fleet cap numbers are equal, meaning no more crippled ships. The Gorn are at 92 with 229 total attack factor, 390 in defense. So they've got maybe one or two cripples out there. The ISC at 101, so that's two of these three fleets that are over 100 at 332 total attack factor, 487 defense. The Klingons are at 124 total ships with 447 attack, 498 defense, just on the cusp of 500. But you can see their fleet cap is 532, so still quite a few cripples floating around. The Remans are at 148, so their total fleet numbers are still very, very high, but they're not popping over 150 as they once did. They are at 464 total attack, 582 defense. Interesting to note how close the 464 and 447 total attack factors are for the attack between the Remans and the Klingons, but of course there's almost 100 points difference in defense there. So interesting to note. The Romulans are at 75 total ships, 260 total attack factors, 411 defense. The Tholians at 135, 240 attack. They are starting to become a concern. 240 attack, 531 defense. Interesting to note. So you can see there, out of those, the top three fleets are the Remans at 148, the Tholians at 135, and the Klingons at 124. Yet, despite those numbers, the disparity in total attack and defense factors is quite interesting. The number three factor of fleets, the Klingons are at 447, very close to the Remans at number 1, and the Tholians, in between them both, is only at 240. So interesting to note the comparison between total fleet number and the attack potential or attack factors you bring to the game. All right. I do apologize. Let's roll back into the chat. Say hello to everybody who is joining us live today. Let's roll back. All right, so let's slide into the chitty chat. You can see we're already at double digits. That's a total of 11 of you joining us live here right now. And let's get this chat in a place where I can see it. All right, here we go. So we've got, as I expand this window ever so slightly so I can read what's on the screen. Bill is in the house. Gorn sliding into your DMs since turn 1. Remember, when you want a hug, vote Gorn Harmony. Yes. Eugene, our local press agent, the 2-week wait is over. That's right. Have any other broken, I think, Balkan states been brought into the fold of a protecting empire? Not yet. Will we find out the health of the Alpha? Will the details of his rescue be detailed? We shall see. With the Romulans now in possession of a battleship class ship? So true. It's a dreadnought, but yes, battleship class ship. Will they become a target of the Carnies or the Klingons? Will these empires unite to remove once and for all the Juggy threat? Yes. Well, we'll see how those Juggies evolve. We'll get going there. Hey, everybody. Hello, Mr. Lyle Yeager. Do you hunt? He asks. Hello, all from George Forknell. Somebody, please save the feds. Bill, hey, George, I can see you. Because, of course, for some reason, those two couldn't see each other in the chat. Paul is in the house. Hi, all. And, of course, the Juggernauts fired their perfectly timed coffee. Paul Williams, John Boone is joining us. I have been enjoying watching your back catalog of streams. Great job. First time viewing the live stream. Well, John, welcome to the show. I can already see that the negative bots have decided to join us once again. Let me just quickly report that and remove them. And away we go. Those things are reported. Okay, Bill, John, oh, and another one. Look at that. Just so many of these things just showing up. Remove that message. Okay, and we got a bot. All right, so let's slide out of the chit-chat and the bot shenanigans and into the map yet again. All right, so this is turn 89, and since the Balkans seem to be the heavy favorite of our conversation, let's slide into that first. First, before I go anywhere, let's move my head to the other side, and let's talk about what's going on with the Remans and the Lyrans. The Lyran seems to be quite the focal point here, so let's start with the Lyrans. We'll work our way around and get to what's going on. So we can see here that as we were mentioning before, the Remans were trying to eliminate all the Fog of War hexes between them and the Lyran Commonwealth, which is this central hub of Lyran goodness, and they've done so. We have Triton fleet sitting here on a planet. Let's just take away the ships real quick so we can see. So this is their supply network, and in fact, I'll pull up the supply menu for the Remans, just making sure I've got supply set at 4. Okay, so you can see with this red, this is what they have in supply. So if I bring back the ships, you can see what they can and what they can't reach as far as a supply perspective. So what this means is that the Remans are going to have to build some bases to be able to get reach into the Lyran sort of field of influence. Unless their focus is to go up into this Red Roos Regency here, which is a developing planet and some resources, and take that out first, and then go to the Lyran Commonwealth. If that is the goal or the objective, then, well, I mean, they can do that. But if the crown jewel, so to speak, is the Lyran Commonwealth, then they're going to have to up their game and get some bases built to get in there and get that Lyran Commonwealth secured. So let's take a look at Triton fleet. This is the big fleet in the area. Wow. That's not small. Okay, let's put that in the corner there. So we can see here we've got a total of 4 KRMs. This is the Mauler cruiser hull that the Remans have available to them. M-class ship, so move 6, and it is a 10-9 ship. So not only does it have the Mauler capability, which is great, but it is it's a 10 attack ship. They also have their M-class KRs, which are essentially equivalent to the Klingon D6, and so they are a 6-7, so 6 attacks, 7 defense. They've also got, they do have a tug there, the KRT, which is good. So it's also a M-class hull, so these 3 different classes of KRs all move at 6. However, they're slowed down a little bit by the Y-class ships in the fleet. They have a KD-4C, so it's a D4 command cruiser essentially, and they have another 4 of those cruisers supporting, so a total of 5 at that 4-6 attack and defense factor respectively. They've got a Y-air tug, which is the KT-4, and then they've got the destroyer, a single with a number of cripples here, 7 cripples, and then they have the K4M, which is that's interesting. That's a M-class frigate on steroids, so to speak. They have 5 of those, and then they have 2 KE2s, which are a Y-era frigate. So it may seem a little confusing. Let's just move this over here. I'm just going to reorganize this ever so slightly so it's a little bit easier to discern. Maybe that makes a little bit more sense. So with that divided in that way, you can see that they have a number of M-class ships. So they have 4 of the Maulers, they have 5 of the frigates, 1 tug, and 4 of these cruisers. So that's quite a little potent fleet right there of just M-class ships. Then in the Y category, they have the 4 cruisers plus the command cruiser, so 5 total, 4-6 cruisers, and they have a Y-air tug. They've got 1 K4, which is a destroyer, and a total of 7 of those same destroyers crippled, and then a total of 2 frigates. So all things considered, this is a good fleet. Like, this is a good, potent fleet. It's just stuck over here on this particular planet. If the goal is for this to go over and take the Red Roos Regency 1, 2, 3, 4, it can easily do that because those Y ships are restricted to 4 movement. They can easily do that. But, yeah, we got to get the KRT, at least, moved over here somewhere, build a base in the Alpha column so that you've got a 4-hex reach into the Lyran Commonwealth, because you're going to need that 1, 2, 3, 4 to hit the homeworld, which is, of course, the prize. Yeah, so that's interesting. let's take, I'll just slide that over into the corner here, and let's take a look at the Carnivon in the same context. I'm going to pull up the Carnivon supply menu so we can see what that looks like by comparison. And it's a little harder to see, but you hopefully can make out that their reach just on the inside of Lyran space, but not all the way in. You can see here, if I take away the ships real quick, they have a base right next to the Kzinti planet here, and of course one at the homeworld. So this only gives them, assuming they have 4 hex supply, this gives them just reach to hit this YDK here. However, if we take away the bases, you'll note that there's a planet here that if they take it, will give them supply. So they could hop, skip, and jump, take the planet, get supply that would give them supply to the Lyran Commonwealth, and then jump on the Lyran Commonwealth. You know, it's a island hopping exercise, so to speak, to be able to get them with supply to there. Did I take away the bases? There we are. So with the bases as it is right now, and the fleets in the position that they're in right now, we've got Topaz fleet right here. So interesting to note. Look at the, I don't know if you can see that there is. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 light cruisers. And what's notable about these light cruisers is that they are the M-era light cruisers for the Carnivon. And why do they not have the M next to them, Tony? Because, as we've mentioned in some previous episodes, there are certain factions, Bravians, Carnivons by example, who seem to miss the M era completely and jump to GW when it comes to their ships. The Carnivons are one of these. And so what you'll note here is that their CL and CA ships are effectively GW ships. There's no M beside them to indicate sort of like the gradual progression of that hull class. So you will note that their CL is essentially a straight 6 ship, but because it has the heel nipper, the N on there, on that counter, it takes a one away from their attack factor. So they're a 5/6 because that N is basically 1 point of directed damage, and if you put a whole bunch of them into a fleet, they can really cause some damage. So you've got 3 CLs and a CA. Their CA is a 7/8 ship. It's particularly notable because their CA is like the inverse of the D7, the D7 being a late M era Klingon ship, not a GW ship. The GW version of the D7 is even more potent than what it is. But nonetheless, a 7/8 ship for the Carnivon. So that's that. Let's look in the actual fleet box, which is Topaz fleet, Carnivon, Topaz. And this is what we got. So perhaps a little harder to see, but you can see we've got these are all Y era ships. A DN, a CC, 4 CAs, 3 CLs, 4, I guess, cruisers. So these should be maybe here. So bombardment cruisers, 3 DDs, a drone bombardment destroyer, and then 12 Y-era frigates. So a mix, certainly, of frigates or Y ships and M ships here, but there definitely is a potent force on the doorsteps of the Kzinti. And why was this an issue? Because the Kzinti at Olympus Fleet had this pretty significant potential to ruin the Carnivon's day. You can see here that keeping in mind they have a YDK and 8 total planetary ground bases, and on top of that they have a YDN, so the command platform basically allows them to control 10 ships, a YDN, 2 M-era CAs, CAM here, 2 strike cruisers, these are again M-era ships, 5/7s, 2 CLs, 4/6s, 5 M-era frigates, and 2 scouts. And then they have a little bit of Y-era in the fleet. They've got a YCA, Y-era strike cruiser, a Y light cruiser, and a YFF. So now with the Carnivon fleet that they've got in place, they can certainly take that out if they want to. And it'll be interesting to see if they choose to and what that's going to look like. I'm going to take a quick sip here. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, so we can see that the Carnivon have effectively gotten to the point where they can take Olympus if they so chose, or they could at least make a go of it with those 8 planetary ground bases and the YDK. That makes that quite a hard target. But it is a medium-sized planet, which provides you 4 EP and 2 when devastated. So it is a 2 EP uptick in their economy if they decide to take it. So it'll be very interesting to see what that looks like. But of course, they could also take the M-era ships, looks like 3 CLs and 1 CA, and do a little hop, skip, and jump over here to say hello to the Lyrans. However, those Lyran ships, that Lyran home fleet is not nothing. There we go. So this is the Lyran home fleet, which is sitting right here. And yeah, so that's a pretty significant fleet. It's a DN, 3 CAs, 3 CCs, 3 CAs, 4 CLs, 8 DDs, and a commando destroyer. Oh, that's interesting. 2 FFs and an M-era frigate. So it looks as though the Lyrans have M-Tech now, and they're going to start pumping out M-era ships. That's going to be interesting. So if I'm the Carnivon, I have to, well, if I'm any of these factions, I need to start thinking about getting in there and stirring the pot. Let's take a quick look at mobile fleets. So the Gorn, we've got the 3 fleets up on the board. We've got the, over above my head here, we've got the Remans. We've got the Lyrans in the middle, and then on the far side, the Carnivon. Let's bring in the Gorn into this equation, and we'll bring in their named fleets. Let's put that right there. So they have mobile fleet, which is the top one here, which is a bunch of WR ships. To be fair, and those ships are not competitive against any of these other 3. And then if you add into that, you've got Vengeance Fleet right here and 5th Fleet. So Vengeance Fleet is a Y-era DN, a YCL, 3 YDDs, a frigate, and a commando cruiser. So there's 2 issues here. One, they're Y-era ships, which is fine against the Lyrans because predominantly the Lyrans have Y-era ships, but they don't have enough of them. And then if you include 5th Fleet, Gorn 5th Fleet, which is this little fleet here, you will see that they have 2 CCs, again, 2 CLs, a DD, and 3 FFs. So it just doesn't seem like there's enough fire. There's not enough boom in that boomstick, as Ash would say, to get the job done. However, the Gorn could be like a spoiler in the sense of they could wait until the Remans or the Carnivon make a play on the Lyran Commonwealth and then come in after the fact and sort of sweep up the sloppy seconds or thirds, as the case may be. So that's an interesting possible perspective on how that's going to work. So again, 3 factions vying for control over the Lyran Commonwealth. You've got the Gorn here, which, you know, fair assessment, they don't have a lot to go here. The Remans almost completely overpowered, but their biggest challenge and constraint is supply. The Carnivon have this speed bump known as the Kzinti, which are just going to ruin their day if they don't deal with them before going in to get the Lyrans. And so you've got this competing dynamic going on. There is a time delay or a certain window for the Remans to get stuff done because they got to build that base and get in there. The Carnivons have to deal, or if they're going to bypass the Kzinti, then get that done quickly because they are in a position now where, you know, everyone's kind of stalled for a reason. The Remans got to build their bases and get supply. So do the Carnivon, so to speak, and the Gorn need to get more potent ships into that area. Who's going to be able to be the first mover? Who wants to move first? Who's going to, because of the dynamic here, is the first mover going to lose because somebody else is going to come in and wipe them out afterwards as an afterthought? I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. All right. Now let's go to sort of the headline of the thumbnail, which was the decisive battle between the Klingons and the Federation. So let's start off here. We'll start off with the Federation. This is the Sol Confederacy right here for those of you who are joining us for the first time, John. And so what can we see here? We can see here on their capital homeworld, they have a CA, a CLM, so that's their light cruiser, a straight 5 ship, 2 other CAs, so a total of 3 of them, and another CLM. So 2 M-era CLs, 3 Y-era CAs. We've got that right here. There's no other fleet on their capital system, but I will pull up their capital system so we can see what their capital system looks like. So we'll put that over on the right side here. It makes it easier. Okay, so we'll put that there. You can see on their homeworld, they have 5 planetary ground bases and a YDK. Mars, which is just one of their secondary planets, they've got 4 planetary ground bases, thank you, and a YDK. And then Ceres, which is their 3rd planet, is 4 planetary ground bases. Then they have their home fleet. Now, home fleet is sitting on a YDK, and that's going to make things interesting. So it's sitting on this wormhole and a YDK, and they have a DN, a Y-era DN with a 5.8, 4 CAs, so there are 4 6 ships. There's a tug, a DD, and a total of 8 frigates. So 8, 9, 10, 14, 15 ships total on home fleet. To the north, we have the ISC. Now, I'm very interested to see what the ISC are looking to do here. So I'm going to put them right here just so it's a little bit easier to see. They have Judgment and Second Fleet. So Judge is, of course, you're at the bottom, aren't you? No, that's Truth. There we go, Judgment, right in the middle here. So Judgment, let me see. Maybe I can make this a little bit easier to... No, I want to go up. There we go. Judgment Fleet. Okay, so Judgment Fleet's at the very bottom here. A CC and 4 CLs. So not necessarily anything that's going to ruin the Federation's day. They also have Second Fleet here. Let's take a quick look at Second Fleet. Again, not something that's going to ruin their day. A CL, 2 CCs, or sorry, CLs. Try that again. ACC, 2 CLs, and a total of 9 DDs. Not nothing by any means, and certainly enough to be able to pop a base and take a planet if they wanted to. But their biggest challenge is supply. As you can see here, they've probably got extended supply from this tug. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the edge of their supply range. Now, on the other side, we have the Klingons. From a total of just looking at the fleets here, let's look at the fleets here. We've got the Klingon battle groups of Invulnerable, which is this one on the top left. Then Insatiable, which is right here. These 2 battle groups are sitting on this planet known as Savannah. We also have Joint Task Force Alpha. Klingon, not Klingon. There we go. Joint Task Force Alpha, which is right here. I will slide this over. Maybe I'll slide that over. Slide that over. Hopefully this makes it a little bit easier to see. So we've got those 3 fleets right here. And then here we have a collection of ships. We've basically got a D7M. It's an 8-7 ship. We've got 2 D7Ms. We've got 2 F5s, which are basically destroyers. So 2 F5Ms, 3 E4Ms, and an F5 Scout. So this is a full build sequence. You've got the cruiser, 3 destroyers, 2 of them being regular destroyers, 1 of them being a scout, and 3 beefed up frigates, which are the E4Ms. And then in addition to that, you've got 2 F4s, which are Y-era destroyers, and then there's a tug in that hex and some crippled ships. And then on this hex here, you've got a total of 3 E4Ms, which are the beefed up frigates, and an F5 destroyer that are ready to be repaired in one go. Now, what's the great thing about the Klingon ships in this context, and this is sort of like the flex point for the Klingons. In previous generations, there's been sort of challenges around repairing ships because, if you will recall, a YBS, that's a Y-era base station, that's the most dominant base station we have in the game, can repair 2 points of damage per turn. A YDK is the space dock, or the Y-era space dock, and that can repair a total of 8 points of damage per turn. Now, most ships, for example, you look at the Y-era frigates of most factions, takes 2 points of damage to repair. This would be the case, for example, for the Federation. When you look at the M-era ships for the Klingons, the F5 and the E4M are both ships that only take 1 point of damage to repair. I'll give you an example. So let's pull up here. And I'm just going to put this right here so you can see it. That is an F5M. That's the crippled ship that's on that YDK. You can see in a crippled state, it is a 2-3 ship, 2 attack, 3 defense. Now, if I were to flip this back to being fully capable and operational, which is what you do when you repair it, it is a 4. So it goes from 3 defense to 4 defense, which means you're only repairing 1 point of damage. Why is that important? Because I can repair 2 of those bad boys at a YBS. I can repair 8 of them in one go at a YDK. What this means is that the Klingons are set up for a unique logistical advantage, meaning they can repair and reintroduce through strategic movement ships back into the field and back onto the front line more cost effectively and quickly than any other faction in the game. This is a distinct advantage, one that I will be leveraging as we go forward. So we've got a total of, if we take into consideration the ships that need repair and the ships that will be moving forward, we've got a total of 4 M-era ships there. We've got an entire build cycle plus a D7 here, so that's 8 M-era ships here, all of which, when I say M-era ships, the reason why that's important is because they can move 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can hit home fleet. Let's look at supply. I will take away the C-ply. Yeah, that's right. Speak properly, Tony. Let's take away the Riemann. Let's take away the Carnarvon. There we are. And let's put back into this the Klingon supply. There we are. And then the Fed supply. Okay. So the Federation supply is great because they can get anywhere they want to go. Specifically, as you heard in the Galactic News, this little congregation of 2 YFFs had, or at least one of them, had attacked Kennel and taken Kennel, which is incredibly irritating. Because of the orders that I had issued, I had ships moving in such a way that they reacted to an attack on Hunter's Pride, which is this minor planet here. This is a very sneaky maneuver whereby the Federation split their forces coming off of Savannah because they had initiative. So they had ships and they attacked both Hunter's Pride and Kennel. They attacked Hunter's Pride first, which drew through reaction movement the ships that I had there to Hunter's Pride to defend Hunter's Pride. Then, with it being empty, they slid a ship in here to Kennel and took it. Why? It doesn't have any long-term value. It just stirs the pot and provides them supply, giving them the deep reach that they've got right now. Now, that doesn't impact my the Klingon supply because I still, of course, have Hunter's Pride. I've got the YDK here, and I have Savannah. So if I take away the Federation supply menu, so it makes it a little bit easier to see, and it's hard to see here, but I'll take away the ships, and you can see that basically I have supply reach to the Sol Confederacy capital. Through Savannah, 1, 2, 3, 4, I have supply reach to their homeworld. What does that mean? That means that I can attack and retrograde to Savannah if I so choose. And with 6 movement, if I were to attack into this hex with the YDK and home fleet, I can retrograde to the YDK, which is my base of repair at this point in this area. So let's bring back the ships. So what do we got here? We've got home fleet with 15 ships. We've got 5 ships, on the home system and a number of bases and our YDKs and planetary ground bases. So what does this mean? What do we got? We've got a collection of 8 ships here, another 4 ships here that can reach and touch home fleet. Let's do the math on that. 4 plus 8. Well, that's 12 ships. That's not enough, man. You can't stop home fleet from reacting to what you're doing. Well, that's true, except that I've also got Joint Task Force Alpha here, which is a 4-hex movement. So they could go to the home system. They could also go to hit home fleet. Speak properly, Tony. Joint Task Force Alpha has 3 ships in it. That's a D4C, a D4, and a tug. Those 3 ships would round us out to 15, which would tie the number of ships in Home Fleet. What does that mean? That means we could pin them. We could attack Home Fleet and pin them in place. In addition to that, we have, of course, the big heavy hammer, which is Battle Group Invulnerable, which is a battleship, 3 D6Ms, which are M-era cruisers. We've got a total of, well, I'll put that right there. We've got a total of 4 F5s and then 10 E4Ms, and then there's an F5 Scout here as well. So what's the total number of ships? 1, 4, plus 5, that's 9, and then 10 ships here. So that's 19 ships in this little fleet here. And then you add in the other battle group, Insatiable, which has a D6EM, which is an exploration survey ship, also operates as a scout, has almost the same attack potency as a D6M, and so it's a 6-7 attack, or sorry, 6 attack, 7 defense, and it has also 3 E4Ms. So you combine that with the 19 ships, that's a total of 22 ships, and we've got Home Fleet pinned and more than enough ships to be able to roll into the capital system and take them out. Or you could flip that, meaning we could just roll all those ships into Home Fleet and wipe them out completely. Lots of options here. You could also scatter the ships in Battle Group Invulnerable, by example, scatter them into various smaller fleets and attack and destroy all these little bases, hit them in a scatter shot and take the planets. There's so many options here as far as like ways to go. But what does this all mean for the Federation? The Federation's pillar of strength is this massive home fleet that they've got to defend themselves. And of course, their ability now to be able to build these light era cruisers. What is the best objective for the Klingons? To option A, we'll call option A the scatter shot, which is to break up the larger number of ships that I have and annihilate and destroy their base infrastructure network around them. So that would mean taking this planet, taking this colony, blowing out a couple of these bases, and of course, pinning Home Fleet in place. If I did that, then A, I incur a lot of damage by blowing out those bases. Obviously, I'm blowing out those bases, and I do get some EP advantage and logistical support by taking those planets and colony, but it's not as decisive as perhaps something else. The second option is, of course, consolidate all my forces in an all-out attack on Home Fleet, which would be good in the sense that I can guarantee that Home Fleet's going to get swamped. The attacking of Home Fleet would be one whereby if I consolidated all those forces in one spot, there's no way their fleet can defend. Just looking at the attack factor of a basic battle line alone, you've got 2 D7s, which are 8 attack, 7 defense ships. You've got 2 of those. You've got 3 D6Ms, which are 7 ships. Just adding those together, you've got 37 attack factor right there. Then add in the battleship. So that's 6 ships out of a total of potentially 11 that that brings 37, 47, 49 attack factor, not including any of the other ships. Add in a D6EM, which has a scout capability. Well, it's a 6 attack. That's 6 attack. And then you bring in the other F5 scout and the F5s, which are 4 attack apiece. Basically, my destroyers are as effective and combat effective as the Federation cruisers, the Y-era cruisers. And the total attack factors here could be as much as double what Home Fleet has. What that means is that in any particular battle round, we could effectively wipe out all their frigates, and then it would just be a matter of a short number of battle rounds before the rest of their ships were destroyed. Now, they could retreat and consolidate their forces on the capital system, and then the next round, perhaps there would be a decisive battle at their capital system. The problem is with a capital system defense, and I've mentioned this before, a capital system defense has specific rules. The defending player has to divide their defending fleet into 2 groups. One is like a floater that can go anywhere where the battle is. The second has to be divided equally amongst the different planets, or in this case, planets and bases that are in the system. So you would take their rather significant fleet and have to divide it into 3 ways. And then each one of those ships would have to be at each planet to defend it, and the floater fleet would show up. By example, based on the ships that are in that hex right now, there's 5 of them. You've got 3 YCAs and 2 CLMs. What I could see this being is they would divide the ships into a group of 3 YCAs and 2 CLMs. The 3 YCAs would be each one on one of those planets, the Home, Mars, and Ceres. And then the CLMs would be a group of 2 ships that would float to where the combat is. Now, you can certainly do a fighting retreat or fighting withdrawal, whereby you can retreat from each battle, from each planet, and retreat back to a single point of defense, like Terra in this case. And you could have all 5 ships, or however many ships you have in that fleet, fighting a decisive battle at the home system. That's certainly possible. And that is a way to, through attrition, break down the attacking fleet, because they have to go through those planetary ground bases and YDKs, by example, to get to you. But I think that it will make it untenable for them to be able to successfully defend the home system. So what does this all say? Is this a no-win scenario for the Federation? Are the Klingons overconfident? Are they going to roll in there and just get their butt handed to them? Because again, 3 options. 1, scattershot, which is pepper all these different bases. There's no way they can effectively defend them. It's a long strategy to be able to win the overall battle, but it would economically reduce the income of the Federation. It would increase the Klingon income, but damage would be incurred as we're blowing up these bases. Second, an all-out assault on the home fleet, which is everything attacking home fleet. The advantage, wipe out their pillar of strength, which is home fleet, and of course destroy that YDK, which is really good for them to be able to repair their ships. Or the third option is some combination of ships that would potentially pin home fleet in place and attack the capital system. What does that mean? Well, depending on the combination of ships that attack home fleet, they could effectively cripple and or destroy home fleet. And they could cripple and destroy home fleet, and at the same time take the home system, because depending on which combination of ships go to their capital system, there's no way they can effectively defend it against. For example, if Invulnerable alone just went to the capital home system with its 19 ships or 18 ships, let me do the math on that again. Battleship, 3 cruisers, that's 4, 8, 9, 19. So 19 ships. So there are 19 ships. There's no way they can effectively defend against 19 ships, especially with one of them being a battleship and then as many as 3 cruisers in that fleet, M-era cruisers. So that would effectively take out the capital. Now, one of the advantages of taking out a capital of a minor faction like this, and potentially the entire fleet, is once you take it, the rest of the population falls. Now, the question is, because they do have a colony and another developing planet, they wouldn't fall right away. But after taking the capital, a quick little jaunt to go take out K-14 here and the colony would mean they would have no other systems left, and the rest of it would fall. It is a more effective approach because the bases would disappear, as they did with Hunter's Pride. It is a more effective approach to be able to secure that area of space. So, what do you think? Do you think that it should be an all-out assault on home fleet? Should it be a scattershot approach, or should there be the pin and attack the home system? I mean, there's a number of different options here. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new subscriber. I don't know if you can see that in the top corner there. Let's slide over to our... There we go. Let's slide on over. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus Agrippa, our latest subscriber. Thank you for joining us here on Star Trek New Worlds. Cheers to you. Here we are. That seems like a great opportunity for us to slide into the chat and see what you think about everything that I was just saying. Okay. Why is the chat? There we go. Let's restore the chat. Okay. Live chat. There we go. pop out the chat. All right, here we go. So live chat. Whoa, there's so much chitter chatter. All right, let's run into here. What do we got? We've got Daniel. Juggernauts are not robots. We can click on all pictures that contain a traffic light. I have a YBS in the wrong place, Paul says. Oh my God, goodness gracious. Okay. How much time do you guys spend planning submitting a turn, says John, or asks John. Let's put this on my main screen here so I can see what's going on. Slide that. Okay. A couple of days. Well, Mr. Gorn is 90% shenanigans, says Dell. I can spend up to 2 weeks on a turn. Mainly, I forget. And also, only do turns when sober. Hee hee. Yes, Dell has made the odd mistake when a few beers in, and that's cost him. Remember, kids, it's all about the potency. Right. Eugene, do the Klingons have supply reach to the Fed homeworld? Yes. Given that there is a ring of YBSs and YDKs on the wormhole and no Klingon ships nearby to open contest the unoccupied hex for supply. Okay, that's a great question, Eugene. So let's slide back to the map and I will show you how that works. As you can see here, so a base in its hex cannot contest surrounding space unless it has fighters, but we don't have fighters at this stage in the game. So in order to contest space around a base, you need a non-crippled ship unit to be on that hex, so a frigate or something. And it can contest the hex around it. So, for example, in this example, Home Fleet would qualify on the YDK, and a ship, any ship can do this within reaction range, immediate reaction range of that unit. So, Home Fleet would effectively block any supply running through this little corridor here to the home system. However, if there are ships adjacent to or in the same hex contesting that hex, then you can still draw supply through the adjacent hexes and even through that hex. So, for example, if the ships moved into Home Fleet or in that hex to attack it, then they can draw supply through this adjacent hex, at least for that turn. And when you're the attacker, you get to decide in which sequence the battles occur. So, for example, if I, as the Klingons, on my initiative, attack the Federation, then I get to decide if I move ships to pin Home Fleet and then attack the capital system. I can decide to resolve the capital system assault first, then Home Fleet, and so on and so forth. That would mean that at the end of my capital system assault, if I so decided, I could retrograde ships back to Savannah. Make sense? And if they're M-era ships, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they could go all the way to Hunter's Pride. Boom! Ladies and gentlemen, another coffee has been fired by the intergalactic form of majestic badger people. We are 75% towards our total coffee goal today. I seem to have missed a coffee, but cheers to you all. Who knew badgers enjoyed caffeine so much? All right. So, long story short, Eugene, yes, I can still draw supply as long as I move ships into either pin or occupy J15, Kilo 16, or where Home Fleet is right now. So if I move ships into these hexes, I would contest the surrounding hexes. So if I moved into J15, I would contest this hex and this hex, which would allow me to draw supply. But if I pin ships on Home Fleet, it allows me to draw supply around that little corridor there, but not necessarily through that hex. Make sense? All right. Slide back into the chat. All right, what else we got? Eugene again, would a YBS need to be removed before uncontested supply can be established? So uncontested supply, so again, I'll go back to the map here. So uncontested supply, there's two interpretations of that question. One, uncontested connection of supply from that planet to, let's say, Savannah, my supply network. In order to do that, I would need to do one of two things. One, eliminate Home Fleet and the base that's there, or the ships that are there. Fundamentally, I would need to eliminate all the ships around this area. The bases can still remain in place as long as this corridor is unoccupied by bases and there are no other ships in the area. I can draw supply through that hex. But for example, these little YFFs here, these are crippled. Let's say they move 1, 2, 3. Let's say they just one moves here, one moves here, and they repair on their turn and knowing that the Federation goes before me. So I go, I do my attack, I take their capital system, I blow out Home Fleet completely. And then, but I don't destroy the base for whatever reason. And then these two frigates repair on their turn, which they would go next at these YBSs, and that's the start of my turn. At the start of my turn, because this is a sequential based on initiative, Feds go first, then my turn, and there's different phases in each turn, like different sequences of things that happen in each player's turn. During my turn, when you're calculating supply, the two frigates that would be here would interrupt the supply through this open corridor, unless I had a ship still remaining, an uncrippled ship, either in this hex where Home Fleet is or in any of these hexes here. So it's if it occurs, I'll demonstrate how they are blocking supply. But generally speaking, I don't have to destroy the bases. I would more accurately, I would have to eliminate all the ships to ensure that there is no uncontested route of supply, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense, Eugene. Okay. Let's bring the chat back. Okay, so what do we got here? We've got George says, could the ISC and Fed become allies, allowing the ISC to become in supply, and they both jointly attack the Klingons to retake lost Fed space? That's an interesting option. Okay, so there's two things there. One, the ISC are already in an alliance with the Klingons. They would have to first break their alliance and then, of course, join the Feds in alliance. Assuming that was the case, then that can only happen on, according to our rules, it can only happen on the spring turn. And I would just have to double check. Hold on. I do not recall what season we are in on turn 89. Turn 89 is a spring. So if they wanted to, and knowing that the Klingons go after, yeah, so I go after the ISC. So this is how that could work. The Feds go, then the ISC go, and on their turn, on turn 89, they could break their alliance with me. They go into an alliance with the Federation. And then during their operational movement, they could then move in and attack me and so on like that. So they could do that because turn 89 is a spring turn. And so basically the way it works is, and now that I'm looking at it, the odd numbers of our turn numbers are spring. The even numbers are fall. So 89 spring, 90 fall, by example. So could they do that? Yes, they could. That would be an interesting turn of events. I don't know that it would be, the problem would be they would have to then, in order for those ISC ships to draw supply, the now allied Federation would have to pay to supply those ships. And there's two different rules. They can be either a homeless fleet or an expeditionary fleet. I believe in this case it would most likely be a homeless fleet, and they would have to pay to provide supply to that. So there is a roundabout way to do that. It would cost the Federation money, and I don't know that it would be a substantive change to the situation because while the ISC ships are good, looking at their ships, they only have a small number of, they have 2 command cruisers, which have 4 attack, 7 defense. These are Y-era ships. They have 4 or 5 light cruisers, which again in the Y era these were phenomenal ships. Like their attack and defense potency just decimated their opponents. Against M era ships, which is the predominant number, or basically that's what these ships, that's what the Klingon fleets are. They're basically all M era ships. They're outclassed. And that's really what the Federation are facing. They're outclassed against the number of M era ships in the Klingon fleet. So they could do that, and it could be interesting. But I think in the long run, that would be ineffective, because what would be the ISC's goal? To cause Klingons pain? Sure, they could do that. But that would really change the dynamic of the game. It would be interesting, though. Boy, would that be interesting. That would make things so cool. They could do that. So anyways, that it's a possibility, although perhaps unlikely. All right. What do we got here? Oh yeah, that was George. So hello, Marcus Agrippa. We have the majestic Badger people firing coffee. The feds reached out to the ISC, who said, "Sucks to be you." Daniel, by the way, is our GM for those who don't know. So when the ISC say that, that's pretty funny. That's good. Okay, we the Gorns are offering the YDD and the Y Convoy safety on the closest Gorn world, which is 4 movement hex away. The ISC should be peace-loving like their Riemann allies. Of course. Tongue-in-cheek from Dell, since Dell's all about war. All right. Where did my chat go? There we go. Okay. So let's restore the chat. That's very interesting. Okay, let's slide. So again, thank you, Marcus Agrippa, for joining us here on Star Trek New Worlds. Hopefully we're excitingly and delightingly answering all your questions. Let's slide back into let's get rid of all these fleet boxes. And let's slide down into Big Red. So we've been talking about the Balkans. And, of course, the Balkans are where the bulk, pardon the pun, of the excitement. I know it's not quite the same spelling. Balkans with an A versus bulk U. I know. So that's where most of the excitement has been up until now. But that is short-term thinking. That's not what I'm looking for. That is short-term thinking, because the long-term game is more about this. So let's go down to Big Red. So Big Red, just as a reminder, this little pocket right here where New Kennel is this is a medium planet here. Used to be part of the Federation and is one of the 4 pockets of Federation that were left. The 2 that the Klingons own one, the Tholians own another, and the Gorn have converted, shall we say, the 4th. So the Klingons are contesting the Sol Confederacy, which is the hub of the former Federation empire, and the Kzinti faction, or Kzinti holdouts of the former Federation faction, were here and conquered by the Tholians. You can see even still there are some crippled ships that the Tholians are attempting to repair to get back up online. But they've taken this little pocket and they've got this little stretch here. Now, the Tholians have been a very interesting faction because they've been expanding until they bumped into the Juggernauts. Now they've bumped into the Juggernauts. You can see on the very edge here, there's Brachyfleet, which is a minor planet with a star base. And of course, Brachyfleet is a not insignificant fleet. Let's pull up the minor fleets. And you can see Brachyfleet is a cruiser, which is a Mauler, a CL, 3 DDs, and 5 FFs. So with that and the starbase, it makes it a very hard target. And of course, the Tholians are uniquely challenged when it comes to their offensive firepower and just don't have the punch to make that happen. What else do we see here? We've got the battle group here, 312th battle group. And let's pull up the Tholian battle squadrons. So 312th, that's this group here. You can see we've got a total of 5 YCs, they're like Y-era cruisers. We have 6 destroyers, 3 of these commando ships, and then a captured, previously converted Riemann Y-era frigate. And so that's what's sitting here on this planet, enough to be able to hold it for sure. And then you've got the crippled ships here that are being repaired. We've got 6, 9, 10, 11 destroyers and a YPC. And then as we scuttle across, we can see we have a large exploration freighter with an escort conducting exploration to sort of push, I think, probably towards this medium planet here to convert it. We've got closer to the Klingon border, we've got First Fleet here from the Tholians. And let's take a quick look. Eyeballs not working very well here. Okay, First Fleet, there we are. Oh, yeah. This is what I like to see. Okay. Until recently, I was very concerned about the Tholians because I was saying that I firmly believed that Tholians had M-Tech but weren't building M-ships for some reason. I thought they were trying to present a non-threat and that way sort of avoid the attention of all the other players. Because up until this point, the Tholians have been without any significant conflict. They've been doing really well in the game because of their lack of conflict. So what can we see here? Why am I laughing? Because we have a total of six M-era destroyers. And these PCs are their M-era version patrol craft. There's 8 of them. You don't just build that in a snap. They obviously built those over a couple of turns. And then what else do we have? We have on their capital system, we have 3 PCs and a DDM. Let's see what's in their home fleet. They've got now solid M-Tech. And they're pumping out those M-ships. So their DDMs are effectively 1/2 point better than my F5 or my F5s. My F5s are a straight 4 ship, 4 attack, 4 defense, and so their destroyer is a 4 attack, 5 defense ship. So they've got a better version of that. Now, where do I have the advantage? I have better cruisers, more offensively effective cruisers, and of course the ability to build and field those battleships. I've only got 1, so. Now, what's interesting about this is that a fight with the Tholians becomes a far more protracted affair because the Tholians have this ability called pinwheel. When a pinwheel happens, you have 3 ships of any particular type that are pinwheel capable, and I believe their DDs are, and their patrol craft are. And so what they do is they basically, like you see in the preview for the live stream, that 3 of them come together and they form this what is a pinwheel, or like a. It's a formation where they stick their butts together, and 3 of them do that. So what does that do? That increases their defense factor by, I have to look at the rule again, but I think it is 50%. So if you had 3 ships that have 15 defense factor and you put them together, you would think it would have a 15 defense. No. If you add another 50% of their defense factor, I think that gives them a 22.5 defense factor. And those pinwheels act like bases, meaning that a pinwheel can shield the retreat of other ships. It can force an approach battle. And when you destroy or damage one of the ships in the pinwheel, they can swap out the pinwheel. It just makes it a much harder target to deal with. So I think what this means is we're going to have to do a rules video on pinwheels so we can better understand how the Tholian faction uses and executes pinwheels in the game and how effective they are or aren't. One of the things about Tholians is that as they get later in the game, they're considered overpowered because of this pinwheel capability. Basically, they have ships that are comparable, like not necessarily better than, but around the same as other M-era or GW-era factions like Klingons and Hydrons and Remans and stuff. So their ships aren't individually any better, but they have this capability to do this thing called a pinwheel. And the pinwheel alone creates a capability whereby they are just so much harder to take out. And they win through attrition. They basically, once they've established themselves in a location, it's really hard to get them off. So that's one of the sort of issues around the Tholians. I think we'll have an opportunity in this game to put that to the test. So we'll have to see. So as you can see, we got a whole bunch of M-era ships focused on the border here with the Klingons. We've got ships over here in New Kennel that have consolidated their approach. We've got these 2 factions on the 2 wormholes, the Whiskey and November wormhole. That is the Tholian Second Fleet, which is not much has changed. 2 wire cruisers, 6 destroyers, and 4 YPCs. 6, 4, 10, 12. So a total of 12 ships here on the W wormhole, and the N or November wormhole has Third Fleet, which is very similar. Yeah, 2 cruisers, 2 destroyers, and a total of 7 YPCs. So 9, 11. So 12 and 11 ships, respectively, on these two wormholes. And then you've got the Gulf wormhole. I don't believe anyone's gone through the Gulf wormhole. Tholian 4th Fleet. 2 YPCs there. And nothing much really in the rest of their empire, which is interesting to know because they have like the 3rd largest fleet in the game, or 2nd largest fleet in the game, but they're not located anywhere. So it's very interesting. And of course, they've effectively stopped pushing towards the juggernauts in the center because, well, I guess that's kind of that's happened. We have, as we scroll into the border with the Gorn, you can see here that, of course, we got a couple wormholes that the Gorn are using, but not much is going on the border here. Not a lot of forces, military forces here, and a lot of, essentially, opportunity, which is very interesting. All right, so let's take a look at the Gorn. We've got the so the YSR is a survey ship. It is with a tug, so I'm assuming is getting ready to build more bases and get further towards the juggernauts here. We've got a YBS 4th Fleet here sitting on a YBS Gorn Fleet 4th. Okay, so we got a DN. Look at that. DN, 3 CCs, 9 destroyers, and 8 frigates. So this is a substantial Y fleet. This is a good Y fleet. And this was the fleet, I believe, that was used to attack and sort of poke and prod the Juggernaut faction that was there. So that's good. And they've done that, and they've poked and prodded and explored up this golden shaft of free transit zone that they've got here. And as you can see, they're bumping into the Romulans, who have sort of cut off the end here with their appropriation of Scintilla. And did I get rid of bases? No, okay. So Scintilla here all by itself. And then you've got the Romulan factions building bases, a YDK here, and then a YBS, and then 10th Legion here. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the Gorn. Are they going to continue sort of going around the Romulans as they continue to explore this way, or what is going to happen there? It'll be very interesting to see. Beyond that, we can see here down towards the bottom, we've got one of the Gorn DDMs, so the M-Air destroyers, is recovering from its encounter with the space people on the edge of space, and it's making its way back for repair, probably right here at this YBS. Speaking of space people, we can see on the Romulan side of the border, there are 2 ships, a large auxiliary cruiser and an auxiliary cruiser that are just making their way into this area of territories. This is interesting. And so will the Romulans have enough in 9th and 16th Legion? I know that they're Y-era cruisers and so on. So will they have enough to be able to stop them? I don't know. All right, let's look at the Romulans now as we come over here. We can see, again, we were looking at if we get rid of the ships, we can see that they've built this YDK here and a YBS. And as they've been moving to the east, they've bumped into the Juggernaut faction with their Bat Station here, a minor faction, which is Borak faction with a minor planet here, and of course, Orion Pirates here. Bringing back the ships, you can see that this was the navigational error that led to the capture of a Romulan diplomat. And we can see here we've got the Romulan 12th Legion with a frigate on this planet with the with the Borak. So 12th Legion, let's just take a quick look at what 12th Legion is. I don't think it's very big. Yeah, 12th Legion is a Y-era warbird, a crippled YSN and a prime team. So they're there with a tug, which is what that FEU is. And so this tug is what? What are they going to do? Build a base there? And this will be interesting. So you've got like this weird trifecta of a Juggernaut base right beside a minor faction, right beside an Orion pirate. And so what are they going to do here? Very, very strange. We'll get to the Klingon component here in a moment. As well, we have Expeditionary Fleet here with a snipe. So Expeditionary and 1st Legion are these 2 interesting fleets in a very interesting location. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 hexes away, both 1st and Expeditionary, from the Juliet wormhole. The Juliet wormhole comes out on the other side on the Carnarvon home planet or home system. And so both these fleets could move in one operational movement phase during the Romulan turn, they can move and attack the Carnarvon through this wormhole. So they're in a very interesting position. Also, considering that they're not in a position to be able to mutually defend anything coming through that wormhole. So as a recap, the Romulans with 4th and 5th Legion, which are the 2 legions that are on that wormhole, don't have enough firepower to stop Carnarvons coming through. This is what they have there. They have 3 War Eagle M's, 2 Y-era Kingbirds, a Commando Bird, which is just a commando cruiser, a Snipe B, and 6 snipes. That's not enough to stop what's on the other side from coming through. What they do have are Expeditionary and 1st Legion. Now, both of these are large M-era fleets. So you can see here you've got 5 SMBs, 2 QEMs, 2 KEMs. So that's King Eagle modern era, Queen Eagle modern era. The King is a command cruiser, the Queen is not. The snipes are frigates. You've got a PE, which is a survey ship, but can operate as a scout, and then a tug. So this fleet on its own, the Expeditionary Fleet, isn't enough to scare anybody away. But you combine that with 1st Legion, and 1st Legion is very similar. So 1st Legion has 2 King Eagles, 2 Queen Eagles, a War Eagle M, which can be converted into either a King or a Queen. They have 5 SMBs, an SM or SNMA. These are snipes, M snipes. So there's the B version and the A version. The A version just is an SM. And then a scout. So you have a very similar composition of ships. These 2 fleets could move to go through this wormhole, which at the moment I don't think that's enough to do anything on the other side. But they're just very interestingly placed. They're not in a defensive position, but they are in a position to move and respond to anything coming through this wormhole. They can also move, ironically, to defend other areas. So, for example, Expeditionary Fleet could move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to attack the Juggernauts or anything else sort of in this Charlie column. Just like 1st Legion can attack in the Charlie column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can move and defend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can move and defend this YDK if war broke out on this border again with the Klingons. So it's a very interesting dynamic whereby they've got these 2 fleets. Now, as the Galactic News had said, we've got in home fleet here, home and 3rd. Let's take a quick look at home. Boom. So in home fleet, they've got 2 now of these VULMs, these M-era Vulture Dreadnoughts. What's so big about these ships? They are 8 attack, 10 defense ships. Take a quick swig. And they are 10 command factor. So they are dreadnoughts. They are 10 command factor, 8 attack, 10 defense ships. They are the biggest, baddest ship that the Romulans have. They're good ships. So take those ships, add them with those Kingbirds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can't get up here, but they can 1, 2, 3. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can get to the border with the Klingons here. So if the Romulans decided to stir things up with the Klingons, they could very quickly and easily bring some very potent attack factors to the border here and stir the pot, without a doubt. But what is that going to look like? I don't know. It'll be interesting. The Romulans have positioned themselves in a way that they can respond to multiple different kinds of threats, and at the same time are presenting a certain degree of threat to the surrounding players. I wouldn't say they're in any way threatening the Klingons at this point. They're not in an offensive position, but they are with regards to the Carnarvon. They are continuing to seemingly push towards the center and the Juggernauts. They are seemingly aligned with the Gorn and the Tholians, so nothing's happening there. So really it seems like the Romulans are playing the quiet game, very Romulan of them, to not stir the pot and piss anyone off, yet be in a position to be able to potentially fire back in a potent way if provoked, if that makes sense. All right, so that's the Romulans, the Gorn, and the Tholians. Let's slide into and move my head to the other side so that we can see what the heck is going on. Let's start with the Klingons. Okay, as we scroll down to the bottom, we've already done the Balkans, so I won't rehash the Balkans. But let's look. We've got more space people coming in from the south. Large auxiliary cruiser here sliding up north, look at this bad boy. So we can see this guy is coming up north, and we don't have a lot of ships in the area, certainly. But what we do have is a couple of destroyers, which are positioned here on the border, and that's exactly what they're here for, to be able to potentially respond to this. Also, with the capital system being here in Lima 47, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's some, whatever is built in this turn could quickly move into a position to be able to potentially defend against whatever this LAC is intending to do, and we'll see what that looks like as we go forward. So there's that piece. As we go up north here, which is an exciting bit, we've got West Fleet, which is now a combination of West and Red, which basically has a tug, a cruiser, 6. Oh, why don't I show you, not tell you? West, as the Pet Shop Boys said, go west. Here we are. Above my head, you can see there's a D7, a tug, which is a D6B, or sorry, the TGB, total of 6 F5s and 6 E4Ms. So this is basically 2 build cycles, 1 cruiser, or 2 different cruisers. The tug is a cruiser class hull. So these two cruiser class hulls and 6 of each destroyers and frigates, going to build a base here and kind of perpetuate the ability to supply and do stuff in this general direction. We've got the exploration cruiser still doing its thing. And then, of course, here, in close proximity to the Juggernaut and Borak and Orions, we have Green Fleet, which is sort of my major fleet in the area. We have some tugs building bases. You can see here, exploration cruiser doing its exploration. And just as a recap, Green Fleet is, so we get this in a good position. There we are. So Green Fleet here, you can see, is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5 D6Ms. And then in combination with that, we have 8 and 4. So a total of 12 E4Ms, 5 D6Ms. So that's what, 18 ships? Math. It's a wonderful thing. So 18 ships here just kind of floating around in Green Fleet. That's the fleet to be able to stomp this potential base and or the Borak and or the Orions. I get along with the Orions pretty well, but that's what's going on there. So that's what that looks like. And then as we slide further over to the right, you can see that things are all quiet on the northern front. We've got ships kind of scattered around these various areas. We've got a combination of crippled ships here on this YDK that are getting repaired. And that's pretty much it. Nothing too exciting. The real excitement really is in the Balkans and the concentration of our effort. The Carnivon, however, have some more exciting stuff happening in their backyard. They've got 2 auxiliary cruisers popping out of nowhere. Boom, boom, right here. They'll have to move ships to be able to deal with that. They also have the iconography of a planet killer doomsday device, but what is it really? They haven't sent any ships to truly find out, but it looks like this frigate is about to. On the homeworld itself, we can see we've got DN, YFF's cruiser, drone bombardment cruiser, and Diamond Fleet. So Diamante, as they say, Carnivon. They were Carnivon, Diamond Fleet. So let's look at Diamond Fleet. This is the defensive fleet on the homeworld. And you can see here you've got 2 DNs, a CC, a CA, and a stack of these drone bombardment cruisers, 9 of them. A destroyer, 6 frigates, total of 8 frigates with those 2 there, and a drone bombardment destroyer. So really, at the end of the day, this is not a big fleet. This is not a big fleet. There's a tab here for Compot. So let's just pull up Compot real quick. Vassal is not the fastest of applications, so this might take a second. Okay, so Diamond Fleet is what we're looking for here. And let me show you the numbers associated with Diamond Fleet. So we'll just scroll down here until we can find Diamond. Carnivon. I feel like I'm missing it. It's right. Diamond Fleet. There we are. Boom. Okay, so Carnivon Diamond Fleet has 24 total ships in it. Really? 24 ships? Okay. 24 ships. It has a total attack of 75 and a defense factor of 111. So this fleet has 24 total ships in it, 75 attack factor, 111. Keep that number in mind. Now remember, we talked about Romulan first and Romulan Expeditionary Fleet. Let's go to the R's. Romulan Home Fleet. Come on. Let's go to Expeditionary Fleet. Maybe it'll be in Expeditionary Romulan Fleet. Okay, so the Romulan Expeditionary Fleet, by comparison, is 11 ships, so about just less than half. It has 44 attack, 67 defense. Add that with the Romulan First Fleet. Let's go to First Star Legion. Has 12 ships, so that's 23 total ships, and has 49 attack, 71 defense. So again, 49 attack factor plus 44 attack factor. That's 93 attack factor with 23 ships. They could attack and potentially, with those vultures especially, take the Carnarvon capital. Ooh, that's an interesting little mathematical calculation. Interesting to note. Of course, it goes the other way, too. If the Carnarvon decide to walk through that wormhole and decimate what's ever on the other side, because remember, it's not just exhibition or expeditionary and first. They've still got 5th and 4th Legion here as well. So you add those attack factors and compots into whatever's attacking the Carnarvon home system, it could get pretty dangerous. So that's a little sneaky calculation there, but that's what that could look like. Also, you'll note that the Klingons have an R&D team on the Carnarvon home system now, so they'll be doing some joint research and development with the Carnarvons, just like we're doing with the Romulans. And as we slide up north, we can see that there is the ISC. The ISC have Justice, 4th, and Enforcement Fleet, which are holding position, keeping everybody in check, as Strike Fleet makes its way to the let me get rid of the ships here, this wormhole. Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, another coffee has been fired. We have hit our goal. George Forknall has fired a coffee. George, thank you, sir. A swig for you, my friend. We have reached our goal for today. 4 coffees. Thank you very much. Bang. Starting the new year off in a good way. Like it. All right. Let's go into, so let's get rid of the bases real quick. What do we got? Yeah, so this is the Whiskey Wormhole. This is the Whiskey Wormhole here. Bring the ships back. We can see we have Providence, Integrity, and Order Fleet for the ISC. Now, when we pull up the ISC named echelons, you'll see here, and I'll just expand this once again. So we have Providence, which is a second from the bottom here, YCL and 5 DDs. We have Order Fleet, which is just above it with a CA, 4 CLs, and a tug. And Integrity, Providence, Integrity Fleet as a CC, a CL, and Prime Team. So this is not by any means a seismic fleet. However, when you add Order, Integrity, and Providence together with the ships that are there, it's not nothing. And with a tug in position, they can certainly build a base there, and I expect that they will be building a base on this wormhole shortly. And then, of course, Strike Fleet will go through. They'll show up on the other side, which, again, just as a quick reminder, that is the Whiskey Wormhole right here, and that takes them on a southerly trajectory back down to Gorn Space. Or if they want to go north, where the Pet Shop Boys said go west, they're going to go north to the Land of Opportunity, which is the Balkans, to potentially contribute towards the Lyran Assault. We'll see what happens. All right, so that is the excitement and delightment happening with the Gorn and the ISC. The rest of ISC space is relatively low-key. Keep in mind, the ISC are still recovering from their massive Hydran war. Their conflict with the Hydrans was seismic in its impact on their turn, or on their game. When you incur, and just as a quick recap, we'll slide back to this screen while we do this. When you incur war turns, when your economy goes to war, you incur war fatigue. Every turn you're at war, you accumulate 1 war turn. That war turn and we've covered this in previous live streams, but when you get to 20 total accumulated war turns, then you start incurring economic penalties. It goes from 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and the impact goes from there. So it goes from 75%, then I believe it's 50%, and then 40, and then 30. And with the decrease in the percentage of your economic income, there's also happiness and sort of social unrest that occurs as well. So I can show you that again at some point in the future if that's something you want to look at. But in order to recover from these war fatigue turns, you need to be at peace for twice as long. For every war turn, you need 2 turns at peace to be able to remove that war turn. Limited war doesn't add any war turns, but it doesn't allow you to recover any at the same time. So if you've been at limited war, every turn you've been at limited war is a turn you have not recovered from war. So those of us who have been in various wars have to manage the war turns in such a way so that you have enough war turns sort of in the bank so you can perform and engage in an effective campaign, but not accumulate so much war fatigue that you're going to cripple yourself as you go forward. So something to manage. The ISC are still recovering from their war with the Hydrons. It was an all-out brawl, and to be fair, it was the ISC that took the Hydran capital. They are the only faction at this point that has another player's capital. So, TDK, as far as like an accomplishment badge, that's all ISC. All right, let's slide back in and take a look at the remainder of the Riemann Empire. So the biggest part really is what's going on down here in the vicinity close to where the Riemanns attacked and destroyed a Juggernaut base. That Juggernaut base was in Hotel 25, and so now, as you can see, there are 2 cruisers with a tug. I imagine they'll be building a base shortly, and they will slowly creep their way towards the center of the universe of the Juggernaut Empire. Now, we anticipate that the Juggernaut Empire is right above my head here at Charlie 28. That's the estimated center of the universe for the Juggernaut Empire. And we expect that at a 3 hex range, so for example, here in Zulu 29, in Charlie 31, Foxtrot 29, and 26, and then in the north, there's going to be these combinations of star bases and other fleets. So we'll see how this all works out, but this is sort of the concentration of Juggernaut strength in the center. And the Juggernauts have ships that are substantially better than what we have, so it's sort of an interesting dynamic as we choose or not choose to engage with them in some kind of conflict. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But as you can see, the Riemanns are recovering from their conflict there. They've got Athena and Pacifica fleet in the area. Just as a quick recap, Pacifica fleet, Pegasus, Prometheus, there we are, Pacifica, blind as a bat, Pacifica and Athena. Let's pull up Athena quickly. So these are the 2 fleets in the area. I'll swap their positions. Athena is on top, as she should be. Charlie 4. The KC4 is their dreadnought, their command platform. The KD4C, their backup, which is a 9 command factor. You've got a total of 8 Y-Air cruisers here, and then 18 destroyers. That's a lot of destroyers. And then 8 frigates, and then a couple cripples here. You can see we've got a total of 4 destroyer. Try that again. 4 crippled destroyers, thank you very much, and 2 crippled frigates. And then here on Pacifica Fleet, we have 5 crippled, 5 destroyers, 2 of them crippled, and then 12 frigates and 1 crippled, along with 2 cruisers. So from a total fleet potency, there's a good fleet here. Granted, they're Y ships, but there's a good fleet here, and certainly a fleet that could deal with those small sort of exploration Juggernaut factions if they come back out and poke and prod. But that's what is here. As we go north, and let's not forget, this wormhole right here is the November wormhole, which goes right there. So, I'm just saying, if there was any particular partner that wanted to engage in a campaign against the Tholians, the Remans are a great partner to have. What else we got here? We got, as we come up here, we can see that, just take away the ships a little bit. You can see the base distribution is still sort of recovering from the previous Lyran war. So the Lyrans had done some damage with regards to bases. You can see the Remans are building other bases back out here. And as we bring the ships back, you can see that they've got some exploration ships doing exploration stuff, but they're probably at the edge of their exploration range. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're at the edge of their supply range for exploration. They're going to have to build more bases to be able to get that supply out. Unless they have some arrangements with the Orions to provide supply, that's kind of the limit of their exploration. I imagine this YFES is going to go north, and the KD4 will go south, and they'll kind of work out this little line here. But again, as we said, coming back to the very beginning when we were looking at the Remans need to build out supply in build bases in this area to give them the reach to be able to get to the Lyran Commonwealth and take that prize. All right, so that is the recap of turn 89, the discussion of the Balkans, the no-win scenario. Is the Kobayashi Maru that the Federation is facing, is it something they can come out with, come out on the other side? Is it going to be a Kirk scenario where they rewrite the rules and find a way to win, despite the overwhelming and inescapable fact that they are outclassed, outgunned, and most likely going to lose? I don't know. As he said while chomping on an apple, I don't like to lose. I'm just remembering this now, actually. In Star Trek 2, I believe, he is cutting an apple when he's discussing the Kobayashi Maru scenario with Bones in his apartment. And he's eating an apple. Chris Pine is eating an apple in the Star Trek reboot, J.J. Abrams reboot. And I forgot the apple thing. But yeah. Anyways, chomping on an apple, talking about the Kobayashi Maru. Do you think Kirk can make it a win for the Federation as we're going into turn 89? Or is it a no-win scenario and the Klingons are going to stomp them? Who do you think is going to claim the prize of, speaking of fruit, the Lyran cherry? Is it the Remans who are going to go in there and stomp all over that Lyran business, are the dogs going to come in and scatter the cats and take control of their den? Or are the Gorn going to slide in from the bottom like a snake and either take out whoever is the first to get in there, or are they going to grab it first? Who do you think is going to be able to have a real competitive advantage, whether it's the Remans, the Carnivons, or the Gorn, when it comes to taking out the remnants of the Lyran Commonwealth? And of course, when we go into the rest of the game, what do you want to see happen? I know, obviously, Eugene is promoting, encouraging, yelling from the treetops that we should all go after the Juggies. But what do you think should happen? Who do you think should tussle, fight, or stir the pot with each other? What do you think is the outcome that you want to see? What would be more exciting for you to watch? A war between one faction or another? Should we all go after the Juggies? Do you want to see what's at the center of the universe? I don't know. The GM has some interesting ideas about what he's done there, but we'll never know until we go and find out. So anyways, that's a lot to say that I don't know what it is that we'll want to do going forward, but it's all up to you. Let us know in the comments and the chat as we go. One last chit chat one last review of the chat. Let's just pop this out and take another look. Whoop. All right, so I can see Daniel is deep in discussion there. What do we got? So after George's coffee fire, George says, you need to get the Carnivons to give you some of the remaining Hydran coffee they are hoarding. Seriously. It is the Win Aux BCS, the Auxiliary Battle Cruisers. Eugene, are the Romulan and Carnies any more along in wormhole tech than the Klingons? Would they be able to send more than 4 ships at a time to battle the other side? I don't know. So I can't tell you where the Carnies or the Romulans are on their wormhole tech journey. I know what they've told me, but we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll just have to see how that goes. But until they demonstrate their ability to send ships through, and we hear how many ships went through at any one time, we'll have to wait and see. I personally, based on the fact that the Romulans went through wormholes early on in the game, I feel like they're probably maxed out on wormhole tech. And I feel like the Carnivons, based on what they wanted to do, are most likely there as well. I know that the Klingons, we got wormhole tech late, as far as like we unlocked it late, but we overinvested in unlocking it. So we got it later, but we advanced or progressed in it as quickly as we could. So we'll have to see how that goes. I know where the Klingons are on wormhole tech, but we'll have to see where the Carnivons and the Romulans are based on what it is they do. The Romulans have stated that they're not a big fan, as far as the role-playing goes, of wormhole travel, because they feel like it promotes and encourages Juggernaut incursions into their space. We'll have to see what that looks like as we go forward. Eugene, if there are... base should be on the Romeo 19 wormhole. If there is a battle as the Carney... Try this again. If there is a battle at the Carney homeworld, if there is a battle as the Carney homeworld is... Oh, okay. If there is a battle as the Carney homeworld is on the wormhole, could the Roms attack the homeworld directly with their ships, causing the Carnies to split their fleet? Yes, yes, and yes. So there's two things that happen. When you're going through the wormhole, there is an approach battle sequence that happens at the wormhole. So when you're going through the wormhole, there are 3 battles that you have to face as you're going through the wormhole. And then, after, assuming the attacker has progressed past the approach battles, after the approach battles are done, then you go to the capital defense. So basically, once the approach battle is complete, then the ships basically split in 3, or again, you take the defending fleet, you split it in half, and then one half is divided 3 ways across those 3 planets, and the other one is a floater fleet that goes to wherever the battle is, and they resolve the capital assault at that point. But yeah, that's essentially how it would work out. And if you can survive the approach battles, and you can get enough ships through, then it's going to be dicey. But the only thing about the approach battles is that the planetary ground bases, and this is the thing, the planetary ground bases and the YDKs and so on can't participate in those battles. It's only the ships. And the Carnivon ships, I mean, they've got heel nippers, so they could do heel nipper attacks on various ships that are coming through the wormhole. And when you're coming through the wormhole, you're quite vulnerable. Yeah, it'll be interesting. You can do directed damage at 1-to-1 as you're going through, you can do directed damage at 1-to-1 as you're coming through the wormhole. So it can be pretty vicious. So we'll have to see. But I would love to see that battle, just because it would be so cool to see the battle go down, if you know what I mean. Bill says yes. I think we talked about it. It also depends on Romulan wormhole tech. Daniel says, good question, Eugene. We know that both Carnies and Roms can move through wormholes without getting crippled, but they haven't charged into battle through one, so there's no way to know. So true. Any updates on Into the Void coming soon? Into the Void is the progression of Into the Void just isn't at the same pace as New Worlds, and so we don't have a consistent story to tell there. So long story short, no. Into the Void doesn't have any updates coming soon. So New Worlds is the narrative and the base storyline that we're talking about. Once there is a steady state and cadence with Into the Void, happy to tell that story, provided it's there. But if there isn't, as is the case right now, then there's no story to tell, unfortunately. You missed the Carney home fleet, Paul says. Oh, did I? Let's take a quick look. The Carney home fleet. Carney home fleet. Where is that? Oh, right. Of course, the Carney home fleet is on the home world. Okay, well, let's take a quick look. So I talked about the Carney home fleet, the Diamond fleet being sort of a total of, 70-something attack factor and having a total of 44 ships. So this is the Carnarvon home fleet. You can see there's the Hydron YDN, the YCC, the YCA, a YCL. There is a number of drone bombardment destroyers here, 5 of them, 2 drone bombardment cruisers, and 7 frigates. So if we go back to Compot, it'll take a second to populate. We can see here that the Carnarvon home fleet has a total of 18 ships in it, which versus the 24. It was 24 ships in Diamond Fleet, 18 ships in this one, and this one has 52 attack factor versus the 74 of the other one. So yeah, this fleet along with the other fleet, that more balances it out certainly. Yeah, 52 attack factor plus the 74, that makes more sense. But more equals out the sort of the 5th and the 4th Legion that are at that wormhole. So at this point, I still have this mathematical rationale that it's an equal fight. It's a pretty even fight between the Romulans and the Carnarvons. If the Romulans went through, it's more advantageous to the Carnarvon if the Carnarvon go through the wormhole and attack the Romulans on their side of the wormhole, assuming they can provide supply through it. I think the Carnies win that fight. Not only do they win the fight through the wormhole, but I think they can more effectively defend that wormhole from Romulan attack, especially if they can start building ships and get stuff on the other side. So who's going to strike first? Or will there even be a first strike from the Carnarvons and the Romulans? Or will they just keep things chill? I mean, to be fair, the Carnarvons have a lot to handle with when it comes to taking on the Lyrans and securing that to begin with. And, of course, the Kzinti. The Romulans, as per their pattern of play, aren't looking to stir the pot, so I don't see them really going through that wormhole to attack the Carnarvon. Obviously, I'm just being a little bit of a combination of hyperbolic and sort of like trying to rah get things going, because more exciting stuff, the more exciting the show. But yeah, generally speaking, I don't necessarily see there being I don't see there being a conflict between the Carnarvon and the Romulans anytime real soon. But that sort of Cold War dynamic that they have going on is a powder keg waiting to go off. There could be an incident. I don't know what that incident would or could be, but there could be an incident that will drive that in a certain direction, if you know what I mean. It'll promote, provoke, instigate something at some point in the future. Will there be a conflict? Like, for example, let's say, things went south between the Carnarvons and the ISC, the Remans, and or the Klingons. If the Carnarvon get attacked by any of their allies at this point, like things go south, will the Romulans see blood in the water and walk through to take the capital? Possibly. If the Romulans are getting attacked by, I don't know, who can they be attacked by? I guess if they were attacked by me, the Klingons, or somehow they had a tussle with their allies, the Gorn and or the Tholians, would the Carnarvon see that as an opportunity? Would there be some kind of conflict between the Gorn and the Carnarvons that would facilitate the Gorn, or rather the Carnarvon wanting to go through that wormhole? Or vice versa, would the Gorn want to go through the wormhole with Romulan permission to attack the Carnarvon? There's so many interesting options there when it comes to, like, if the Gorn and the Carnarvon go tete-a-tete in the Lyran space, like in that Lyran pocket, will the Gorn then be motivated and to go through that wormhole with Romulan permission to attack the Carnarvon? And or would the Carnarvon want to go through the wormhole to attack the Gorn? Or would the Romulans, in support of the Gorn, go through the wormhole to attack the Carnarvon? There's so many potential options there, right? And that's what's exciting about this game. I mean, yes, it's a turn-based war game, and to be fair, it's old and clunky as far as the rule sets and sort of how the pace of this goes. But there's at least three things that are really good about that. One, the slow pace of it builds anticipation. It makes, at least for me, I sort of salivate when it comes to the next turn. And in fact, at the beginning of this game, in the beginning of this campaign, over a year ago now, there was a joke that continues to this day about, Daniel, where's my next turn? Because there was this constant sense of anticipation and desire to see what happened next. And so because the pace doesn't meet your insatiable need to get the most current information right away, you have to wait for it. And that delayed gratification creates a greater sense of appreciation when you get it. Two, the dynamics of this game are not, the fun dynamics of this game are not about the battles we fight, the wars and the rules and so on. It's the player interaction. It's the backstabbery. Like when the Carnivon backstabbed the Klingons and attacked me, that was awesome. Wasn't it? I mean, it was, it created the dynamics, the drama, the conflict. It wasn't about the fighting. I mean, yes, there was the unit fighting, great. But it was the interpersonal sort of conflict in the role-playing context between the Carnivon believing they were righteous to do what they were doing and the Klingons thinking, oh, you wait, son. You know, the dynamic between the Romulans and the Klingons about trying to come to terms about a peace agreement in their conflict at that time. Like, you know, one was all in, never accepting defeat, and we're only going to go balls deep when it came to finishing off the other. The Klingons in that encounter were more like, okay, we've accomplished our goal. Let's sort this out and go to peace, because if we're going to go all the way, one of us is going to die, and it's not going to be the Klingons, or at least that was the Klingon position. And so, you know, that sort of interesting dynamic make things fun. The entire Hydra and ISC Riemann, the Northern versus Southern Alliance conflict, that was great. I mean, there were highs and lows in that interaction, but especially the initial sort of rhetoric back and forth about the nature of that conflict made it exciting. And when the Klingons took the Carnivon, quote unquote, by surprise, and that dramatic change in the geography or the topography when it came to the borders, that was crazy and huge. And why did that happen? The personal interaction, the memory of when the Carnivon did it to us, and so we were doing it to them, and so on and so forth. So it's all about the player interaction. It's that Game of Thrones type mentality of the interaction and the role play. And lastly, sort of playing off that personal interaction, it's all about the community, right? Like playing this game in this way and sort of putting it out here in this format for you, almost 2 hours in here, it's all about building community around something that we like to play. Like, it doesn't matter what game you like to play. Do you like to play poker? Do you like to play Risk? Do you like to play cards? Do you play basketball or football or whatever it is? But either way, it's you getting together with a bunch of people that you know like and do it in a way, doing things you like to do, testing, competing against each other and having fun doing so. For us, we're Star Trek geeks. We like strategy and turn-based at that. And so this is a great venue and avenue to do it. You have enough time to be able to make decisions and sort of test your strategies against somebody else. And because of the nature of this game and how we've sort of amended and adapted the rules of Federation Empire, it's dynamic, it's evolving, it's a tapestry that you're playing with because it's playing back with you. And so the environment is dynamic, the players are certainly dynamic, and the fun of going back and forth with that creates a great sense of interaction and, I think, community when it comes to something like this. So I'll get off my soapbox for now, and hopefully you guys enjoy that too. And of course, thank you, Marcus, for joining us and becoming our latest subscriber, Marcus Agrippa. I really enjoy the group, the community, and what it is that we're doing here. And if as I'm signing off here, as we're approaching the 2-hour mark, one last thing from me. What do you want to hear about next? We do this this live stream, of course, weekly, giving you the recap and sort of what's going on in the game, and that's great. What else do you want to hear about? I mean, for example, Eugene asked about Into the Void, and unfortunately, Into the Void, as far as the campaign goes, just isn't at a cadence and a pace and sort of a place where we can have that discussion about Into the Void. It may in the future, but at this point, the campaign's just not there yet because it's not a consistent story that we can tell. But what do you want to hear about? What do you want to do? What is it that you want to come back and watch? Is it something that is around a discussion like we did with the Brews and Blood Wine, where we're talking with our GM and our community of players? Is it something whereby we're talking about the specific rules, like, for example, the tutorials and various other things like that? Do you want more of that? Is there something that I'm not even thinking about or mentioning that you want to hear and see? If that's the case and you're this late into the video, then please add your comment in the comments after the video is done about what it is that you want to see. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's about trying to create something that's entertaining for you as an audience, something that you can sort of bite your teeth into and engage with. And of course, I can see some of the chat here about new players and new games. Like we're starting up. We are having more campaigns as we go, as this community builds. Into the Void was the second campaign. Well, let me give you the quick 2-second history of how this all worked. There was a core group of players that I played with here where I live in Victoria, British Columbia. That group of players were a bunch of folks that played Federation Empire way back when. They created sort of the template for what we are playing now. And that group of players, we were playing the Lost Stars campaign, if you remember. You can even find those videos still here on this channel. And that campaign fell apart due to some unfortunate issues when it came to the dynamics of the players. So that campaign fell apart, and we started up a new campaign, and that new campaign is this one, New Worlds. And so New Worlds is that campaign, and basically using the template and the rules and everything going forward. And in fact, the Thulian player, Derek, is essentially one of the core originators of what we're playing now. And so when it comes to the vassal module and how it was created, the rule set and the tables and sort of the amended how we sort of make this from the open campaign rules in Federation Empire, and we've changed and amended those to create a more dynamic 4X kind of game. And so that's the New Worlds campaign. The Into the Void was an attempt to iterate or improve on or expand and grow off of New Worlds into a different direction with updates to the vassal module and running that campaign. And in various ways, that has been very successful. Currently, the challenge we're having is the sort of the player progression and the cadence at which the turns progress and move on in that game. So that game's from an experimental perspective, we're experiencing some challenges in that game, and they're very educational for the next game or campaign that we run. There is another campaign, a third one, that is currently in development, but it's still in development. And as a recent update from the person who's going to be running that campaign, they're not ready to launch the campaign. They want to make sure that when they launch it, that it's good to go and that there's not a stumble and a fumble and it doesn't meet the expectations of the players who play it. So it's not ready yet. But this game, for example, and I was speaking with folks on our Discord channel yesterday about this, where we are very much in the mid-game of this campaign. And I could see this campaign certainly coming to an end in 2023. So in 2023, if and when this game ends, we'll start another campaign. And when that another campaign starts up, again, we'll be looking for players and so on and so forth, and we'll be building up that campaign. What that campaign looks like and what rule set we're using and sort of how the vassal module plays out, I don't know yet. We'll have to see how that goes. Again, it's an evolutionary process as we experiment with different as we experiment with different ideas, different models, different ways of playing the game going forward, what rules work, what rules don't, how are we tweaking and adapting them, and what tools are we using as far as like going from Excel to Google Sheets, which was one thing we did recently, or for this campaign anyway. Are we going to be using the Vassal module that we currently use, or are we going to make changes to it, and all those various things. So there's a variety of stuff that goes into creating and playing this campaign. And at the end of the day, because this is run by people, there's only so many players that we can play at any one time, or there's so many players that can play in a campaign at any one time. This campaign started off with 10. We're now down to 7. The previous campaign, the Into the Void campaign, started off with, I think it was 15. And we've since gone down. Some players have left that campaign, and I think we're down to around 10. So it's a combination of how big is the game? What is the play experience for players? Is it fun to play? And so making a combination of mixing rules and gameplay and basically making it a fun experience for everybody. That's, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. How can we tweak and modify what we're doing so it's the most amount of fun and manageable for everybody to play? All right, that was quite a speech to end on, but why don't we end it there? And I will see you all next week. Bye for now.